All right, we are here and we are live. How in the world does it get better than this? Oh my goodness, hi everybody. Hey everybody joining live. I'm so excited to see you guys. Yay, we're here. We're finally here with the Unicorn's Guide to Living Crazy Possible. I am Cory Michelle. If you don't know me yet, hi. I'm excited you're here. I'm excited you think you're a unicorn and you want to live crazy possible. How does it get better? So today what we're going to do is go through the Unicorn's Guide to Living Crazy Possible. And it's all about how to get clear, get congruent, and have everything you desire show up, even if you think you've lost your magic. So this is for people who know more is possible, but can't seem to create it fast enough. So I have got a power-packed, magic-packed, about an hour. It might go a little bit over an hour, but about an hour for you guys. And I'm super excited you're here. And this webinar has taken so long for me to put together because it's got so many different elements of what I wanted to actually put out there in the world and share with you guys that hopefully will be a contribution to you. So hi everybody, I see some really awesome stuff in the chat there. So the biggest question is now the time to choose what you know is possible? Okay, and the question people always ask right away is this even for me? Is this for you? And let me just identify some of the key factors to know if this is for you or not. Number one, are you pragmatic? Do you stink at following other people's formulas? Do you know more is possible but can't seem to create it? And do you know that life should be easy and anything is possible? Then this, okay, I'm gonna get used to these slides here. Are you empathic, intuitive, creative, and willing to change anything? This webinar, this guide is for you if you've got those qualities. If you don't have those qualities, I so appreciate you, but this particular information might not be for you. But if you are any of those things, you are in the right place, my friends. So now, I actually put together this crazy possible roadmap. It's called Creating Your Crazy Possible Life Roadmap, Becoming Congruent with the Life That You Know Is Possible. And if you look over on the left-hand side, you see these list of symptoms. And at the very bottom, it says frustrated with no possibility, stuck in limitations, they're real, and feeling defeated in life. And as you move up through these symptoms of living your crazy possible life, you move into hopeful, having a glimmer of possibility, awareness that things can change, and you're seeking out tools. And the next sort of symptom is life is good. You're feeling good, but you still know more is possible. There's still a gap. And then sort of the top, when you're really living your crazy possible life, you're free from this reality and you know anything is possible and you're creating it. So where are you in that space, right? Just look to see, where are you right now? And there's no wrong answer here. It's really just, where are you now? And when we start to acknowledge where you are now, then we can actually create beyond it, right? But so much of the time we want to pretend we're not there because we think it's wrong and we think it's bad, which is actually partly hindering us in our creation. So we're going to go through the rest of this map a little bit later. But I wanted to just show you that part now, because if you're in any of those spots, this particular guide is specifically designed for you. All right, and hi everybody from around the world. And by the way, or if you are done with not having what you know is possible for your life, what we're going to do today is we're going to bridge the gap. The gap. This little gap here where it looks like there's so much space between where you are now and what you know is possible. We're going to bridge that gap today. And that's probably one of the, biggest spaces that people go into paralysis for themselves, or they get stuck, or they go into fear or whatever, is when there's a gap, right? But all the gap shows is that you know more is possible, and how you're going to create it, maybe you've never done it before, right? How exciting is that? So what makes this information, this webinar, any different? Basically, we're going to tap into what you know, not what someone else is telling you, what you should know or what you should do. This whole thing, Living Crazy Possible, is all about you and your awareness. Okay, it's not a system to follow or a formula to follow. When I'm not going to tell you what to do, you, my friend, are the key to creating your future, period. You will never find it in anybody else's way. You already have what you need, and I'm going to show you how to actually use it all to create your reality your way. How does that sound? Everybody give me a big hell yeah in the comments if that's what you're looking for. So your way is the way, and so much of the time we're made wrong for our way, right? Like, I was just on a Creation Academy call, and we were talking about that, of like all the ways that we've been made wrong for doing it our way, which never made sense to anybody else. It was just our way, and then we stopped doing it our way to try to figure out how to do it everybody else's way, and then that way doesn't work, right? So today, and then when you're not following your way, all that does is leaves you confused and unclear, right? And being confused and unclear is actually just one of the symptoms that you're not choosing your way. You're not actually following your awareness and intuition. You might be looking for an answer outside of yourself, okay? So the targets for this guide today: 1, you'll learn a brand new method for unsticking yourself in any area of your life. You'll discover a totally different way to create your future with less struggle and frustration. And you'll learn how to tap into the universe so that the universe delivers everything you ask for in a whole new life. How does that sound? Who wants a whole new life? Who is done just trying to change your life all the time? Like, find something wrong and change it, right? Like, it's such a bogus way of actually trying to create your life, is when you're looking for problems, and you keep looking for problems and you become this master problem solver, but solving problems doesn't create your life, unfortunately. Solving problems just makes it so you find more problems to solve. So what if you have problems, what if you actually are aware of the possibilities, and now you can actually step into creating those possibilities, even if they're totally different? And that's what Crazy Possible is all about. So be sure to stick around till the end, because I've got some goodies for you and a new surprise I just added today. But one of the things you will get is the guide to Living Crazy Possible printout of it. So you'll get to have that. Now, this is interactive, and I don't know, you might get more if you participate, if you post in the group, but it also gives me feedback for where you are and that anybody is even listening. So that's also helpful for me. Now, if you've done anything with me before, you know we're going to move quickly. I move fast. So you just be on your toes a little bit and take some notes. So maybe get your pen and paper ready, but also be kind to you and eliminate other distractions. So you might want to turn your ringer off on your phone, turn Facebook off, and see what's possible for you in this time that we spend together. Okay? All right. So, who is this crazy chick anyway? And why should you care? So I'm Cory Michelle, and I am pretty crazy, it seems, especially according to everybody in this reality. I do things very differently, and I used to try to really fit in. I used to try to fit into this reality, but it didn't work for me, and I had created a life that I did not like. But the thing is, I'm amazing, and so are you. So everything in my life I've created is freaking amazing, and you have it too. There's no difference between us except we're both amazing. Actually, that's not even a difference, that's similarity. And what I would love to do is empower you to know that as well, and empower you to know that you can create anything at any time. So my question to you is, have you been different too? So this is a picture of me when I was about 2.5, and my grandmother said, "Cory, behave." And me, being the little rule breaker that I was, I said, "No, I don't want to behave." I want to be Cory. And a unicorn was born. I really can't believe I said that at 3 or 2, whatever it was. But I did. My grandmother reminded me every time I saw her for the rest of my life. So are you different too? And have you acknowledged how different you actually are? Have you acknowledged that you be different, you choose different, you think different, you know different possibilities, and those possibilities you might be aware of, you might actually be the only one that's aware of them. Have you acknowledged that? Right? Okay, so here's the thing. So I went through life, job after job after job, and I was doing like sort of menial things and whatever. And every single job I realized I was fired from, either fired or let go in some crazy reason. And the last corporate job I had, they let me go, and they said, I said, well, why am I being let go? Because I was so confused. I had done a really great job. I had exceeded the expectations. I had fundraised a lot of money because I was in the nonprofit sector. And they said performance. And I said, well, can you tell me what I did? And they said, it's performance. And in that moment, I knew that something else was going on. And it wasn't that I was wrong, like I had made myself for so long. Something else was really going on. And so that took me on a multiple years of a seeking that led me to a number of discoveries for myself. And this is right after I was let go from that job. I created an event company that I brought in spiritual speakers, and I brought people together. And this happens to be Andy Dooley, the brother of Mike Dooley, who is Notes from the Universe, right? Everybody knows Tut. Awesome. And Andy is hilarious. And it was so fun to create events and bringing people together, because that's one of my capacities, come to find out. But I got a huge nugget at this night that I'm actually going to share with you later, that was started to build, that actually is a part now of the art of living crazy possible. So here's what I did. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I did meditation, or at least I tried. I could meditate for like 7 minutes, or not 7 minutes, more like 7 seconds. Hypnosis, past life regression. I did a religious science church. I did psychics. I went to so many psychics. I saw shamans. I did Abraham Hicks. I did the passion test. I did seminar after seminar after seminar. Landmark education, affirmations, EFT tapping, Course in Miracles, spiritual release technique, books, Anthony Robbins, Michael Beckwith, NLP, Louise Hay, the angel stuff, Sonia Choquette. I did drugs. I used the law of attraction, notes from the universe, and then I did Burning Man. Here's a picture of the Burning Man that I went to, and here's a picture of me at Burning Man. So on my discovery, like, I don't know, how many of you guys have done any of those or all of the same things I did, right? But here's the thing is, none of them really, I'll go back to this picture, it's way more fun. None of them really got me creating a life that I really wanted to have. I kept getting these little incremental shifts. I kept getting these incremental like awarenesses, and I had so many awarenesses because there's so many brilliant awarenesses and all those things. But I never got the tools to actually create my life. Like, there was something still missing. And I was like, God, I really want whatever's missing, because I had a lot of issues in my life going on. And then it was after this Burning Man, and I see a lot of you posting, I did all of them, including Chronic Healing, Stuart Wilde, most of them, except Burning Man and drugs. So it was in 2010 that I was sitting in one of the seminars I had done for a year, and I had a lot more information, a lot more knowledge, but my life wasn't any different. I had $150,000 of debt. I didn't like my life. I was depressed, but pretending like I wasn't, because, I really knew that it was a choice, but I didn't know how to actually create anything else. So I just kept creating issue after issue after issue. And then I asked for magic, right? And then a couple months later, Access Consciousness showed up, and life started working, and things started happening, and I started having more magic, because that's what I really wanted. I knew magic was possible, and I knew I had more than parking karma. So does anybody have magic? Like, you know that you have got some sort of magic. Post your magic in the group. What is it? Mine was parking karma. I always got a parking spot. So anyway, the access tools started to work. Life started to get better. So I became a certified effing miracle worker. And then I became a certified facilitator, and I've been facilitating access tools for the last over 7 years now. And it was a few years ago that I wanted a hot tub. Oh my God, did I want a hot tub? I had just made the leap and moved to California, and I wanted this hot tub. And I needed $1,500 for this hot tub. And I sat there and I was like, huh, how can I have this hot tub? Now, mind you, I used to say, oh, I don't have the money. That's too extravagant. I have other things I need to pay, like my debt, blah, blah, blah. But my body was like, hot tub, give me a hot tub. And so I was like, I asked this question, which was a brilliant question, which was, what can I create so I can have that hot tub? I ended up creating a class which has many of the fundamentals of the Art of Living Crazy Possible class and what I'm going to share with you today. And I got my hot tub. And this is actually a picture of a similar version that I had. And that event actually created a little bit more than the money of the hot tub. But I realized that there were some key elements that I used in creating this class that was the class that were missing for me that I wanted the whole world to have. And there I am in my hot tub. And that's the question I use all the time is, what can I create so I can have this, right? And it works like magic because you start to become aware of the possibilities that are available that you can actually tap into right now. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm just reading. You'll see me reading some of the chats here. So I've got them on 2 different computers. Yeah, so Michelle says, I create to an extent, but don't seem to be able to create beyond that. Yeah, that's exactly where I was too. So this download that I got from the combination of the stuff with Andy Dooley and Access Consciousness and this, way that I created the hot tub was like this download. And so I started using it for myself, and things started to show up like crazy. Dare I say, as if by magic. It was like I could create on demand like crazy. So the Unicorn's Guide to Living Crazy Possible is basically the string of awarenesses that I use to go from randomly being able to create with not much consistency and having it be sort of sticky, right, to everything that I ask for, which actually does show up. Now, it doesn't always show up the way I think it will, but it does show up. Now, this works for virtually every single gap you might have because it's dependent on you. Your awareness. It's not dependent on following some formula because this actually isn't a formula. It's a string of awarenesses. It's a string of questions. It's a string of spaces, which sounds so weird if you're looking for do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, right? Because that's how we're taught is to follow the formula, but this isn't a formula. It's more of a method. A method is just a way, things to look at. So every single gap you have, you are the key to creating beyond it, right? We don't want to acknowledge that. Sometimes we just want the answer, don't we? How many of you guys have been looking for the answer? I know I spent my entire life trying to get the answer right and looking for the answer. Okay, it's never there. It's within you. Now we hear that too, and I heard that in all the things that I had done before. I had heard it over and over. You're aware. It's not about the answer, but I didn't really get it until I started to see some of the elements we're going to talk about today. We got a lot of yeses in there, looking for the answer. I am the key to filling in the gap, Becca says. Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at duplicatable on-demand creation. So here's a very short list of some of the things that I've created using this particular guide, so to speak. I moved from Colorado to California based on energy. I have ease with creation based on energy. I have clients all around the world, and they show up a lot of times randomly, right? Based on energy. I moved from California to Australia in literally 6 weeks. Like 6 weeks, that's like unheard of. I generated my first $100,000 in my business in just 9 months. I'm knowing how to create, follow the energy without distracting yourself. How many of you guys distract yourself with all the different bright, shiny objects that don't ever go anywhere? right? I was the queen of that. I paid off $150,000 of credit card debt. $150,000, right? I created like a super amazing relationship with my current partner, and it blows my mind how awesome it is. I have ease with money now, like a total ease with money. And I've been leading classes in 6 countries so far, and there's more to come actually this year even. And all of those based on what I'm going to talk to you about today. So what is your biggest frustration with creating your life? Go ahead and post it in the chat. What is your biggest frustration? So I can get a sense of what you're actually like up against right now. And while Victoria says I start something and then I start something else and then something else. Yeah, that's one way you're distracting yourself, and we're actually going to talk about that today. So consistency, inconsistency of results, yeah. Okay, cool. Self-sabotage, we're going to talk about that today. Scarcity mindset, okay. Believing I can follow through consistently, yeah. Discipline, yeah. A lot of this stuff we're actually going to address today, so it's great. You guys are in the right place. There's so many coming in right now. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a number of case studies that I did with people who have taken the art of living crazy possible and actually used the guide, so to speak, in their life. And this is Manjeet, gorgeous, now friend of mine. She actually did the art of living crazy possible 7 months before I talked to her about this. And she was in a teaching job. She left her teaching job and is creating her business. Now she has clients all around the world. She's supporting herself. She said her happiness increased. She thought she was happy, but once her happiness increased, she was like, wow, I was only like a little bit happy. But now she's like, I'm so joyful. It was like, yeah, happy. Who wants to increase your happiness? I was totally lying to myself. Personally, I thought I was happy, but it was a big fat lie. I was actually probably depressed, like probably clinically depressed. But because I had done so much personal growth work, I knew that depression was a point of view for me, right? So I never admitted how much I didn't like my life, which I think is funny now. But anyway, she moved all the way across the country. She has a kind man in her life, and this is important because she was continuing to date men who would take advantage of her. And this guy contributes to her like crazy. And that is a internal energy shift it takes to create that. And now she lives a VIP lifestyle. And it's so awesome to watch her because everywhere she goes, she gets treated like a VIP. And I'm so inspired by it. I actually, I'm like, I'll have that, Manji. I'll have that. I'll have that. We have in the chat, yes to more happiness. Okay, cool. So all around the world, these sort of like what is possible, it includes you, right? And let's include yourself today. Who's including yourself? Because it works. Now, what about you? What would you like to eliminate? Or what would it be like if you eliminated frustration and struggle from your life? What would that be like? You just didn't function from frustration or struggle. What would it mean to your life and your business to have changed those unchangeable things? Wow, what would that be like? What would it be like when what will it be like when you can eliminate doubt and self-sabotage and start trusting you? Wow, what will that be like? It's like, that would be heaven. So what if what if your life can be so different in a year you couldn't even recognize it? Yeah, that. It's amazing how many people go through the art of living crazy possible and they go, holy cow, Cory, my life is so different. Like, I'm different. I function different. I actually trust myself now. And when you trust yourself and you know how to create for you, your life will continue to look different every single year, and sometimes much shorter than that. And what will it be like to be congruent with you? Because when you're congruent with you, that's all that really matters. Everybody in the chat saying, oh, this feels so light. Ease with money, let's have more of that. I would love that. Yes, bring it. Stop doing it on my own. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to ditch the gurus. I am not a guru. I am somebody who's creating my life that loves to share about it. I freaking love giving people tools and empowering people, and I am not a guru. You can make me your guru if you want, but I'm actually not a guru. But here's the thing: when we ditch the gurus, ditch the people we're looking for answers from, then you actually start to empower yourself. You're going to stop spending tons of time and money chasing the bright, shiny objects, going to follow the formulas. How much money have you guys spent on people who are offering formulas that never work for you, or you don't even open the product? I don't know how many times I've done that. Personally, I've probably spent $100,000 on stuff like that, thinking that somebody else has the answer, and then I never even open their thing, or I do it and I get bored because they're telling me what to do, and I hate being told what to do. I don't know if you're like me. I don't like it. So stop spending tons of time and money on all that stuff, because you're not broken. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you, even if everybody in your life has told you there is. There's not. There is not one thing wrong with you. There's also not one choice you've ever made that's wrong. Now, we might have made really cute choices. We might have made choices that we totally went against our awareness and for someone else or everything else, but that doesn't mean they're wrong, because we can gain so much value from the awarenesses that we get when we choose against ourselves. I can become stronger from those awarenesses versus not strong, versus more wrong, because you're not broken. You're just not broken. Nobody is. So if you keep trying to fix what you think is broken or unhealed, then you'll just be trying to fix those things that don't exist. Okay? So we're going to stop that. And we're going to start to know what you know, because that's where the gold is. That's where the crazy possible is. All right. So I found, after working with thousands of unicorns, is that there's three main issues. Number one, we lack clarity. Two is your self-sabotage wins. And a lot of times people are confused on what actions to take next. Do you have any of those issues? Lack of clarity, your self-sabotage wins, and you're confused on which actions to take. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat. Got lots of money spent over lots of lifetimes. Patricia hates being told what to do. Karen says, I got all three of those. All of them. Okay, cool. So this is what we're going to go over today. So make sure your distractions are off, and you've got a pen and paper so you can take some notes, because you might want to. All right, so here's our agenda today. We have element number one, which we're going to identify the invisible or visible blocks. They might already be visible to you, even if they have been around lifetimes. Element number two, the truth about clarity and how you can create it for yourself. And it's not what you think it is. Okay? Oops. And number three is how to set yourself up to create anything you desire. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to give you 1,000% today. I'm going to give you pretty much everything I got that I can in this particular guide. Now, what I'm asking is you give back 1,000% of you by receiving as much as you possibly can today, whatever that is. Okay? That's my invitation for us to play in this space. Okay? So what we've got is the elements of living crazy possible. 3 steps to become quickly become congruent. Number one. Now, actually, I'm going to toot my own horn for a minute. This guide right here, this Art of Living Crazy Possible guide, is freaking awesome. And it's the first time I actually put it in a sort of digestible format like this. And it just makes so much sense to me. And hopefully it does to you too. And this is what we're going to go through. So layer number one, which is in the bottom, element number one, is clearing the energetic blocks, energetic clearing. So we're going to be addressing the visible and invisible blocks, okay? All right, so are you suffering from invisible blocks? This is kind of what it feels like, right? It feels like you're in a jar and you're like, I can see the ocean and I want to go play and build a sand snowman and a sand castle and I want to play in the water with the dolphins, but I can't seem to get there, but it's right there, but I can't get there, but it's right there, but makes you go insane, doesn't it? These invisible blocks, these energetic blocks, are a lot of times what sort of hold us back, that we don't even know that are there, yet we know they're there, but we can't identify them, right? Veronica says, yes, please help us clear invisible blocks. So I call it the Lego effect. Lego blocks are there, but you don't see them until you step on them, right? It's like, you're like, how did that Lego get there? All of a sudden. But here's the thing, it's not your fault. Those invisible blocks are actually not your fault. Seriously. How many of you guys have been making yourself wrong for not being able to move beyond these invisible blocks, right? That was one thing I struggled with tremendously. And so many of my clients, we go into such severe wrongness of ourselves because we can't seem to do it, yet we're in a freaking glass jar with all of these invisible blocks, and we're like, I'm so wrong, right? But that won't ever get you anywhere else. We got a lot of yeses in the group for that, okay? So let's start off with the first part of the element number 1, which is belonging, okay? Now, you're not going to create too much in your life if you're if you're not looking at this one. And this is one of the biggest lies that people aren't, the biggest invisible blocks that people aren't actually identifying and acknowledging. And it is the lie of belonging. Dun, dun, dun. Doesn't that look miserable? Being like everybody else. How many of you guys have been living your whole life to try to fit in? Like, it makes me want to go to sleep because it sounds so boring, right? How many of you have been living your life to try to fit in, try to do things like everyone else, like we said before, follow the formulas, get everything right, get this reality right, get money and relationships right, have consistency, right? Do things like everyone else, not be judged, right? That's all indications that you're trying to fit in on a subconscious level, and sometimes on a conscious level, right? Okay, cool. So there is the lie of belonging. Newsflash. Here's the billion-dollar question. Did you come to this life to fit in? Did you? Did you come to this life to fit in? Yes? Or no? Got a lot of no's in the chat. A lot of no's. Okay, cool. So this is the first thing you have to acknowledge. You didn't come here to fit in. So anything you do that tries to fit in is not being you. Period. So if you came here to fit in, by the way, this information is not for you. Okay? I love you and appreciate you, but this information is not for you. This information is for the ones of us who didn't come here to fit in. But I do have valuable information with you if you didn't come here to fit in. So here's the thing. If you don't acknowledge that you didn't come to fit in, this is one of your invisible blocks, because it will literally run your life until you go, wait a second, I didn't come here to fit in. All that whole life that I've been trying to spend fitting in. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's a kookaburra bird, which is my favorite bird. You can hear it outside. Can you guys hear that? They go, they laugh like monkeys. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, have you noticed that you choose in conflict with yourself, creating inner conflict when you're trying to fit in? Because you're like, I know this is possible, but I keep choosing to try to get my family to love me, or whatever it is. That's an inner conflict that if you have this belief that you're supposed to belong and that you're wrong because you don't, you'll never actually create what you know is possible, because that is one of your invisible blocks. Okay, we've got a lot of, Becca says, mind blown already. Okay, cool. You're in the right place. So do you have any of these? Doubting yourself, people pleasing, fitting in, making choices for others, especially around the holidays, right? Thinking you're not good enough, believing others know better than you, thinking something is wrong with you, being guilted, shamed, and blamed into choices that you don't want to choose. All of this trying to fit in, trusting other people's awarenesses over yours, following systems that don't work for you, creating tons of evidence that things won't work for you, is all creating self-sabotage. Okay? And this is the layer underneath those those invisible blocks. This is where some of them are hidden. Okay? Everybody's saying, doubting myself, lots of inner conflict, gonna vomit. So what else is actually possible? Fitting in ensures failure. It ensures failure. Every time you go to fit in, you will fail. Why? Because what you are aware of that's possible will always create more. The judgment that you need to fit in will always create less than that. Always, every single time. Now, failure isn't wrong. It's just not what you know is possible. So can you guys see that particular invisible block for yourself? It's kind of a big one. And nobody really talks about this one, right? Now, being different is valuable, okay? It's like all the people that were willing to be different in their lives throughout history have created amazing things for us. Amazing architecture, rockets. You can look now, there's people creating like Tesla and the Tesla energy and Elon Musk and all the things he's creating and solar power, like all of these things. What we know is possible, that difference that we be is the contribution that we came to be. But if you're believing that your difference is the greatest wrongness, you can't ever fly. You will literally be grounded in that glass bottle, okay? For you, the real possibility is when you start acknowledging that you're different and that you came to be different, okay? Dun, dun, dun. All right, so I'm gonna give you an example of Tiffany. Tiffany is freaking amazing. And she actually found the crazy possible experiment, started doing some of the experiments, and then ended up in the, she came live, actually, I'm so inspired by her. She came live last year to the Art of Living Crazy Possible in California, the three-day class. And she called me up and she's like, I'm so afraid to be there because I have so much anxiety, it's paralyzing. What if I have a panic attack in the class? And so I actually asked her some questions. She ended up there and she was like, I am happier than I've ever been because she took that leap. And when I interviewed her 7 months after the course, she had left her dead-end teaching job, which was amazing because she knew it wasn't going anywhere, but she just didn't know what else. Like she didn't have the courage to leave because she had the invisible block that she needed the income. And what she's created since then has been amazing. She's increased her happiness. She got off 4 medications. She trusts her awareness to create her life. She's also now, since then, taken a bunch of other classes. She's contributing what she knows as being a teacher, right? And realizing how different she is in her life. And it's like such a gift to other people as well. And she's starting to see that. It's been really amazing to watch her. So I've got this myth called the wish myth, right? If I just wish and hope and pray enough, it'll all turn out, won't it? No, it's not working. And I'll just ask you, is that working for you? Right? When we wish and hope and pray, it doesn't actually create. What that's doing is it's waiting for something to happen versus really engaging with life as if now is the time. So my question to you is now the time to choose something different? I hope so. All right. So remember that hint I gave from earlier, something about the energy, right? So it's not about fixing and problem solving or learning more at all. None of that will actually ever get you to what you know is possible, okay? But here's the thing. We got to look at where are you putting your energy. So we have our gorgeous girl on the left, right? And then our amazing hot air balloon on the right, right? So which one is actually going to take off? The hot air balloon on the right? So, and if you're problem solving, right? If you're looking to everybody else, if you're looking to not fit in, all that kind of stuff, then you're putting 80% of your energy into fixing things, into problem solving, into the wrongness of you. That's where 80% of your energy is, okay? And then the creation of life, there's only 20% going into the creation. So if you have 80% of all of everything you're choosing and all of your energy going into fixing your problems and your issues and focusing on what's wrong, and only 20% into creation, then you're not going to lift off, are you? Your heaviness, the heaviness of the weight, so to speak, is going to ground you, literally not let you fly. Now, if we flip it over and put 20% into, quote, working on yourself, clearing stuff, and, you know, whatever you're doing there, and 80% into creating your life, into the energy, into your choice, into knowing your priorities and your targets, you're going to lift off, right? It's basic physics. I don't know if it's really physics or not, but that sounds good. But here's the thing. It's just a choice where you focus, okay? It's just a choice. But most of us, especially if we've done tons of self-help and personal growth and all that kind of stuff we talked about earlier, then a lot of it is focused in on that bottom energy. And neither one is right or wrong. Just the top energy gives you the liftoff, creation. The bottom energy is all about trying to fix what's wrong with you, or trying to belong, or all that kind of stuff. Okay? So you can remove 97% of struggle and frustration by doing this, by actually putting more energy into creation than into fixing yourself. Okay? And having more value in what you'd like than what you don't. Because it's so easy for us to say, well, I don't want this anymore, so how do I change what I don't want? Well, that's going into that bottom energy. But if you go, well, wait a second, I'm aware of that this is possible. How can I have that? That's going into the creation energy. It's just a simple little switch that every single person that I have ever worked with that has a life they don't want, or they have things that they want to change, they're focusing on the bottom energy instead of the creation energy. Every single one. Flip that, you'll change your whole entire life. And you can go from mediocre to crazy possible, unicorn life. Ta-da! And you're not in a fishbowl anymore. You're out in the universe. How does it get better than that? So what would you like to choose? Would you like to choose to put more energy and effort and choices into creating your life? Or would you like to put more energy and choices into fixing what you've decided is wrong? Just a choice. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. It's so heavy, I want to lift off. Wow. Okay, awesome. Cool. Okay, cool. All right, so element number one, but number two in this, the second part, is clearing your past. Your past is, in your past, it has nothing to do with your future unless you let it. So we're going to talk about clearing your past. The thing is, I told somebody this, if only it were that easy, right? If only it were that easy to just leave my past in my past. You're telling me this and it's just not that easy. Well, it can be, but you have to choose it. Okay? Now I'm going to show you an example. This is your past. Okay? This cluttered room. It's got everything everywhere. There's stuff you want to avoid. You don't want to look at it. Okay? Just get the energy of that. And then get the energy of this, which is a spacious room. It has lots of light. It's gorgeous. It's inviting. Okay? Which is the energy of the future that you would like to create? The one with all the stuff that's cluttered and full of all your past, or the one that's clear and free? Okay? When you choose to let all the evidence that you have for that you're wrong, all the past hurts, all the past abuse, everyone that ever betrayed you, when you choose to let that be in the past, you can actually live a clear and free reality. Actually have that space and know that you don't have to bring any of that past with you. But is it really possible, Cory? Yes. Yes, it's very possible. It's very, very possible. Yeah, so Veronica says, how do I stop the past from affecting the present? I don't feel like I'm actively trying. but to bring my past into my future, but it keeps coming up as a roadblock. Well, here's the thing. I can't go fully into that right now because it's actually a whole segment in the Art of Living Crazy Possible, but I will say this. You got to start choosing it. And every time one of those things pops up, you have to choose beyond it. And in the element number 2, what I'm going to show you will really help with this, because if you don't have your priorities and your targets clear, your past will stop you. Okay? Because you don't have anything else that's greater than that. So that's what we're talking about this. Wow, this answers my question today. Cool, Karen. I'm still holding on to my old stories. Yeah, old stories won't create much of anything except old stories. Okay, so it's totally possible, and it actually doesn't have to be that hard to leave your past in your past. Okay, if you could ditch the limitations of your past, would you? Would you be really willing to be that different for yourself? And this was something I had to look at, was like, am I really willing to be somebody who doesn't have those problems anymore? Like, wow, I wonder who I would be. So we got Delaney next. Delaney was an etherical being. Delaney is amazing. She's now a good friend of mine. She lives here in Australia. And she was like the etherical being, like floating around, this like potent fairy lady that had all these capacities. And she would chase the light. She would chase this light thing and this light thing and this light thing. And it was always positive and was always seemingly happy, but her life really wasn't working all that well. And so she did the Crazy Possible in Cairns last year, up here in Australia. And she went from being a light chaser to creating some of the stuff that she always wanted to create, but she never really did. She just never chose. She's created Telepathy 101. She's been facilitating around the world. Now she's got global classes that have really got some momentum where she couldn't really get that momentum before. She started generating 3 times more revenue, and she stopped waiting like someday and actually started creating. How cool is that? Super excited for Delaney. So we have the third part of element number 1, which is eliminating inner conflict, AKA self-sabotage. All right, so this is probably my favorite part of the whole presentation right here. So you want to get out of conflict with yourself. Here's what conflict looks like. I really want to have tons of money, but I think I'll watch Netflix instead. What you say and what you choose are different. That's the internal conflict. So what are your conflicts with yourself? Go ahead and post them in the group. What are your conflicts with yourself? Okay, what you say, and then what you actually choose. I say I would like to have a thriving business, but what I choose is to doubt myself. What I say is that I would like to have an awesome, healthy, amazing, vibrant body, but what I choose is to sit around on the couch. Those are inner conflicts. When you are in your inner conflict mode, you won't create what you know is possible. Okay? So I want to choose certain things, but then I doubt myself. Got a lot of doubt in the chat. I'd like to do something new, and then I just lay around. Right. Okay. So that is what we're choosing is actually your priority. Okay. So we say we have a priority of working out or having a vibrant body, but then we choose to watch Netflix. Well, watching Netflix is actually a priority. What shows up is your priority. Eek! Okay. Now I'll show you an example of this from my own self. I said I wanted to make $10,000 a month, and this was right in the beginning of when I started all of this. But what I did was I chose to doubt myself and not follow up, not follow through in potential interested clients. I literally like put it off. There was emails in my inbox of people who wanted to work with me, but I wouldn't follow up with them. But I said I wanted to create $10,000 a month, right? So my priority was what showed up. What showed up was $25,000 a month, or well, I wish that was it, but it was $2,500 a month, frustration, struggle, and debt. So the $2,500 a month, frustration, struggle, and debt was my priority. My priority was to create frustration, struggle, and debt. How did I know that? Because that is what continued to show up for me. So I was like, wait a second. That's what I'm congruent with choosing is frustration, struggle, and debt. Okay, that's what's got to change. Okay? So what's your priority? What you say you want, and then what you actually choose. What you say you would like to have is bogus, right? Because you're not actually going to choose based on that. What you actually choose is your real priority. That's where you'll actually find your hidden limitation, your hidden block, okay? Kate says, I'm confused about what to choose, so I stop. Seems I'm a bad person. Yeah, you're great. Finding other things, excuse or distraction, exactly. I say I want to run my business, but then I do nothing. So the thing that you say you want is actually your bogus priority. I say I want to run my business. I say I want to find other things. I say I want a great relationship. And then what I choose is, that's your real priority. Okay, now this is something that when I discovered this was like, holy cow, this is where we're not congruent. Okay, if you are not congruent with yourself, you will never create what is actually possible for you. And you have to look at these underlying things in a way where you can go, oh my gosh, that's what I've been choosing. That's been my priority. Now we can actually change it. Because when it's hidden, you can't actually change it. The universe doesn't understand what you're asking for and cannot deliver, especially when you're not choosing it. But it leaves you frustrated and thinking that you don't work. You just keep thinking you're wrong, right? So the universe can't hear you, but then you're not choosing it even when the universe does deliver, right? So are your bogus priorities running your life? They sure were mine. How can you tell? If what you'd like to create is not showing up, that's how you tell. If what you would like to create is not showing up, that's how you tell bogus priorities are running your life. Okay? The good news is, if you are in conflict, you can get congruent instead. You're not a terrible person. You're not bad. You're not even wrong. You're just not congruent. But when you are congruent, the universe knows what to deliver. And then you're congruent with choosing it. It's freaking brilliant when you're actually choosing. Okay. All right, cool. So that are the elements. Element number 1, belonging, the lie of belonging, clearing your past, and eliminating conflict. These are all the energetic clearings and dissolving those invisible barriers. Okay. Now, we're moving on to secret number 2, which is the truth about clarity and how to create it for yourself. And it's not what you think it is. Okay. Everybody take a breath before we move on to secret number 2. I know we're moving through this really fast, and I've got so much more for you. All right, so element number 2, the truth about clarity and how to create it for yourself is not what you think it is. So we're going to get you into action today. Energetic priorities are about the energy, not about others. So we're not talking about typical priorities, family, work, business, relationship. Every time I ask people, what are your priorities? They say my family, work, God, my relationship, all things outside of yourself, right? So what do you think your priorities are? What we're actually talking about is energetic priorities, the energy that you'd like your whole life to be like. Now, not very many people out there in the world are asking you, what would you like your life to be like? They're asking you, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Right? What are your results? But those aren't priorities. Those are targets. But priorities, when you look at them based on the energy, something different is totally possible. All right, so remember my hint from earlier? This is where we talk about it. So when you choose your priorities, they are energies, okay? So some of mine are juicy, fun, magical living. There's an amazingly juicy energy to that for me. You guys will choose based on what's light and expansive, what gives you the goosebumps, what makes you go, whoa, I want to have that life. A thriving business, consciousness and contribution. Consciousness is the allowance of everything and the judgment of nothing. Contribution is gifting and receiving at the same time. Money, luxury, and opulence. Yeah, the energy of money, luxury, and opulence in my life. And a happy body. I'll have a happy body, okay? What energies would you like to have as your entire life? What if every single thing you chose had those energies show up? Because then it wouldn't matter the results, because everything was those energies. You come off of having it be all about the results, all about this much money and this kind of car and this kind of house and this kind of man or woman or blah, 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 the results, and step into the energies. And this is what I realized at that Andy Dooley event all those years ago, was that if my whole life was filled with these energies, it wouldn't matter who was in it. It wouldn't matter what showed up. It wouldn't matter how much money I had. What really mattered was that my whole life was these energies. And if you notice, none of these energies have any conclusions in them. None of them have any results. None of them have any projected what it's going to look like. I don't really know what a thriving business looks like, but I like the energy of it. I don't know what magical living looks like, but I like the energy of it. Okay. All right. So Kara, she's in Illinois, and she did the Art of Living Crazy Possible online class last year. And what she ended up doing was leaving a stressful full-time job that she hated. She told me, she's like, I hate going into work every day. It sucks. I want to kill myself because I hate this job so much. Well, don't kill yourself over a job. There's always other possibilities. So she left her stressful full-time job she hated. She was in a relationship that wasn't working. She left that. Now she has a job she loves. She was like, oh my God, Cory, every day I love getting up and going to this job. And her business is expanding. She was doing her side business, and that's actually expanding now. And she doesn't have stress anymore. She's like sitting there telling me, she's like, I just don't have stress. Like, I get to live my life. It's great. And she said, every day is like Saturday. I was like, that's great. I love that. What if every day could be like a Saturday? The thing is it's not about every day being like a day off. It's like every day having the space and the ease and the joy that you want to have. Carol says, easy breezy, beautiful life. Yeah, how does that get better than that? Okay, so the second part of element number 2 is energy acknowledgement. What energies light you up? So we just talked about these priorities and about being about the energy. So how do you know what energies are priorities for you? So life source energy, Tesla, amazing, brilliant man, said, if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. Energy, frequency, and vibration is the language of the universe. Okay? The results are not. The conclusions are not. The stories are not. The judgments are not. It's the energy, the frequency, and the vibration. And this is where, when you're focused on all this other stuff, that lower percent or that lower stuff, the heavier stuff, you're not in the energy, frequency, and vibration. So when you acknowledge the energies that you would like to have as your life, that light you up, that make you want to live, that get you so freaking excited, that's when you can actually start out having those as priorities. So let's look at this slide. What energy does that slide evoke in your body? Is it light? Is it heavy? Is it nothing? Is it neutral? Does it make you want to jump up and down for joy? Does it make you want to die? All right, now look at the energy of this. And just notice. Is it a different energy than the energy before? Now look at this. This is actually in New Zealand. Just get the energy of that. Okay, can you feel it? Is it neutral? Is it spacious? All right, now the energy of this. Okay. These are the energies that we're looking for, right? You want to become aware of what actually lights you up. And you may know right now, and you may not. And if you don't, that's okay. Okay. The questions to start asking is, what would I like my life to be like? Okay. What would I like my life to be like? And when you get those energies that go, wah, note those in your world and say, I'll have more of that. And when you can start identifying them with words, you can start saying, you know, magical living, I'll have that as one of my priorities. And when you start asking the universe for magical living, exuberance, right, and every beauty, when you start asking the universe for that, the universe will show you that. A lot of times very fast too. Oh, I already did that one for you guys. All right, so let's talk about targets. So once you've acknowledged the energy, right, and your priorities, and you've picked about, I usually ask people to pick about 5, because unicorns, we want to pick 100 energies because we don't want to leave any out, right? You don't want to leave any energies out. You want to include everything. But what happens is we get overwhelmed with too many energies, right? Not as possibility, but like in our own day-to-day life. So usually in the Art of Living Crazy Possible, I actually ask people to choose 5. Choose 5 sort of groups of energies that you are like, yeah, if my whole life was like this, that would be a freaking amazing life. And not from conclusion, but from the possibility of actually choosing them, okay? So once you have those, you've identified what's light and expansive for you, then we look at targets. And targets not from conclusion, but from possibility. All right. Targets, something to aim for. We don't talk about goals. We talk about targets, because goals are the end, and mostly unicorns don't want to end, so they never complete goals anyway. And goals are often judgeable offenses. So we set a goal so that we can judge ourselves for not doing it or judge ourselves as right for doing it, right? So targets are things we aim for, okay? And then you can change the target. You can hit the target and celebrate, right? But my question to you is, what if you could actually hit every target that you make? What would that be like if you could hit every single target? Would you like that? What would that life be like? Or you're like, I'm going to hit that target. I'm going to keep going until I freaking hit that target. That's the way you can start functioning with these tools. Okay? So what does that bring up though? Do you hit your targets right now or not? Right? And for me, it was, I don't even want to set a goal, let alone a target, because I'm not going to hit it anyway. Because I knew that if I set a target or a goal, then I was definitely not going to hit it. Does anybody have that going on in their world? Yeah. So consider this, that every target and every goal, maybe we'll just include the goals in here, you've ever made has been from a conclusion. Okay? When we choose targets and goals from conclusion, like I need to have this much money, so this is how much money I need to make in my business, so that's my target. We're not actually choosing based on the energy. We're choosing based on a conclusion. Okay? And a conclusion is always less than what's possible, and a conclusion doesn't have the energy that's actually creation energy for us unicorns. Okay? Conclusions never do. Okay? So what you want to actually do is set a target from energy that lights you up. If you were to create that target, how much freaking fun would it be to create it? Okay, so like, oh, I gotta have this much money a month. Does it light you up? Go a little bit higher. See if you can find a number that has you go, oh, that would be exciting to create. Okay, and it might be a little bit lower. Find where where it's light and expansive for your targets. Okay, when you start choosing targets like this, you can start actually hitting them. Why? Because they're light. Why? Why is it because they're light? Because whatever's light is true for you. Whatever is light is true for you. And there's always a possibility when there's something that's light. Now, as I said before, might not show up like you think it will, but it will show up, okay? And this is how we start creating targets no matter what the barriers are, right? It's like a lot of times they show up like not linearly, because unicorns don't create linearly. We don't. We create totally non-linearly in the chaos, right? Of the choose light, choose light, choose light. And then all of a sudden something randomly crazy awesome shows up that matches the energy of what you've been asking for. So we have to come off of the linear creation and actually start trusting yourself. And by choosing targets that are light, expansive, light you up, and have you want to get up every day to create those are the kind of targets that you want to have, okay? Now, when you are a very aware unicorn, you're aware of everything, right? And when we're aware of everything, it's very easy to not have clarity, not be clear, to be confused, to be overwhelmed, right? Oh, Suzanne says, that's why I hate budgets, created from conclusions. Exactly. I don't function on a budget. I function on, I would like a hot tub. What's it going to take to create it? How much money do I need? Okay, what's it going to take to create that? I actually used to have somebody working for me that would say, what's your budget for this? And I was like, I don't have a budget. What do we need for it? What do we need to create that? And then we'd go create it. Accountants hate me, and I'm okay with it. So if you're aware of all the energies, then we're like aware of so much. It's like all of our energy is going everywhere, right? So this is where we're not clear, right? This is your energy being all over. You're chasing bright, shiny objects. You've got your hands in a whole bunch of different things. You start one thing, you move to the next, okay? And this is not optimal, right? This is the not optimal space to create from. But if you're doing everything we've talked about so far today, and maybe much more than that, then this might be where you're creating from. And this is actually what's possible for you. This is the space of clarity, where you become so energetically congruent and resonant with yourself, with what's possible for you, and with the universe, that instead of being this random space of energy, choosing lots of different things, you become a clear beacon for the universe to deliver you everything you ask for. Okay? And what it takes to be this clarity is having those invisible blocks out of the way. But it doesn't mean you have to have all of your blocks out of the way. It just means you have to get over a few things like your story and a few things we talked about, but also start focusing in on creation, which we're going to talk about next. Okay? That's where the majority of your time and your energy needs to be, is in creation. But you have to know, to create powerfully and potently, you have to know a few things. Number one, what you would like to have your life be like. Number two, what energies those are. And number three, have some targets, okay? If you don't have those things, you'll actually be over there on the not clear side, even if your past is out of the way, okay? So these three things create the clarity. The universe can actually hear what you're saying, what you would actually like. It can actually receive the energy because your energy is clear. You become this space where everything you ask for literally shows up. And that is the space that I create from now, where I'm like, when I know when something's not showing up, it's because I'm not congruent somewhere. So I can find the not congruent, right? And go, oh, there it is, boom, done. All right, now, and then it shows up. It's like magic. It's like crazy possible living. Now, Jennifer, oh my God, talk about an inspiration. Jennifer did the online course about a year ago, and she was in an abusive relationship. She called me, she was saying, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out of it. I've got kids. I'm completely dependent financially on this guy, and he's not being a very nice person. And she basically, within 7 months, I was so excited for her. In 7 months, she ended the abusive relationship. She now has a divorce. It's been a year now. She found confidence in herself. She started actually contributing in ways that she never knew she could. She hit her target. The month I talked to her, she said she hit her target of a $10,000 a month, and she doesn't have a job. So she created in lots of other ways. And she said she's the happiest she's ever been. And guess what? Her kids are happy too. So no matter what you've created, no matter what it seems like is so hard or so unchangeable, if you want to change, there's a way. There's always a way. Okay, let me check the chat here. Okay, so Deborah's asking, how does this differ from humanoids having 8 different projects at the same time? Isn't that having your energy all over the place? Okay, so do you need to have, like for example, how do I say this? You just got to see what's working for you, okay? You got to see what's actually working for you. And are you using that having 8 different things going on at the same time as a distraction, or is it actually a contribution? Because I look at having 8 different projects going on at the same time as it doesn't have to all be businesses, right? So I've got my relationship. That's one thing I'm creating. I've got shipping stuff here to Australia. So that's sort of one little thing that's going on that's moving. My dog is coming over. That's one thing that's moving. I've got my business. But even with my business, I've got multiple things going on. So if you have decided that there's 8 different things going on, it has to be 8 totally different things, and it can't be 8 in one arena that all contribute, then you might be having yourself all over the place. But you just have to look is, whatever your point of view is about that, is it actually working for you or is it not? I have a billion things always going on at the same time, maybe not a billion, more like 75, but they're all moving forward. And when I start to get distracted and other things suffer, then I know I'm a little off track, okay? Yeah, Mojo's coming. Okay, cool. All right. So that's the energy. So now we're going to move into the energy or okay. So this was the clarity and practice one, your targets, no energy acknowledgement, and your energetic priorities. Okay. So that's the second layer. So you got to clear the energy first, the clarity and the practice, like really getting clear. And then next we're going to go into creation. So the secret number 3 is setting yourself up to create everything that you are asking for, everything you desire, everything that's light for you, okay? How do you create that? How do you set yourself up? This is what we're gonna talk about. Okay, who wants this? Who wants this bad? How many of you guys, this is the next stuff that you've been waiting for? All right, creation, choice, action, tools, ask and receive, be, and being present. So ask and receive is the first part of the creation element. And the universal truth is, when you ask, you shall receive. It's hidden in the Bible. Not that that means anything, but it is in there. And it works. But it doesn't work if you're asking for stuff and then choosing something different. If you're asking for stuff and then you're making yourself wrong. Right? So all the stuff that we've already gone over, if you're doing any of that, ask and receive really doesn't work that well. It can work sometimes, and it might be like, whoa, it's magic that it worked, and like totally not consistent. And you're like so excited that when it does, but what's actually possible is for it to work every single time, okay? And when you've got those other 2 layers looked at, your ask and receiver, your magic tool actually works really well. We can see a bunch of you guys want this bad. So ask and you shall receive. All right, let's talk about Wendy real quick. Now, I remember meeting Wendy. She was awesome because she was so frustrated. And she was like, my whole life, everything sucks. Cory, what do I do? I'm stuck. She was so intensely stuck and so intensely asking for more and knowing more was possible. It was awesome working with her. So basically in 7 months, she did all sorts of amazing things that she didn't think was possible, and she was making herself so freaking wrong. And she was limited in her thinking, and she would stop like creating her classes because she's also a facilitator. She would, now she's creating more classes. She's contributing, she's hosting people in Toronto and expanding her business. She's made more money than she ever thought possible, blew her targets out of the water. She said she always made herself so wrong for the past and felt guilt and shame. And now she's actually looking at the brilliance that she is. So those past guilt and shame things were distracting her from knowing how different she is and how brilliant she is. And she's actually pretty magic, right? So now she's a totally different life. When I talked to her a year ago, it's totally different now than it was back then, because she's actually creating a life where she's joyful. What if joy was one of your priorities? What would that be like? So the second part is conscious action. Dun, dun, dun. Catherine says, I'll have some of what Wendy has going, or she has some of what Wendy's having going on. So guess what? If you have any of these things that we've talked about, they're all changeable. How do I know that? Because you know something else is possible. If you don't know something else is possible, then you can't change it yet. You got to know that something else is possible, but you don't have to know what it is. I think that's one of the places where people get paralyzed, is because they think they have to have the conclusion of what they think is going to be the clarity of what's possible, but that's not it at all. You just have to know something else is possible. That's all. So conscious action is taking actions that create more ease, and greater is an art of being aware and being in the question. Conscious action will literally open up doors. Your choices that literally open up door after door after door after door, that will open up the new possibilities that you can't actually get to until you choose them. Okay? So remember this slide, the not clear to the uber clear and congruent. Let's actually talk about what it takes to get congruent. Okay? Actually, we'll talk just one more second about that conscious choice. When we're actually asking a question like, what is it going to take, or what action can I take? You get the awareness and then you choose it. So much of the time what I was doing to myself was going, oh, I get that, but I'm going to choose something different. And then what it would prove is that my awareness was accurate. And then I'd go, oh, I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. How many of you guys are going, oh, I knew that? And like proving your awareness right by choosing heavy or choosing against yourself. Oh my gosh, I was doing that all the time. Oh, so Veronica's asking, what is conscious action? What if you get nothing when you ask what action can I take? Then maybe there is nothing, no action to take. What energy can I be? Is another conscious action. What choice can I make today? What choice can I make today that's in the energy of my priorities? What energy, space, and consciousness can I be to be congruent with everything I ask for? Okay? And I would actually say that most of the time, a very high percentage of the time, when you say nothing is showing up, something is showing up, but a question or an action, but it doesn't match your conclusion. So you got to ask, well, what is showing up? What am I aware of? What have I been avoiding that I haven't chosen yet? Okay. And if you're looking for the right thing, you will usually say nothing. Okay. So if you're doing that, you just want to look to see, is that what I'm doing or is it something else? Okay, great. Glad that's clarified. Okay, let's get congruent. Now, this last part in here is choice. The thing that changes everything is your choice every single time. Okay, your choice. Okay, now we're going to talk about choice in a little bit different way here. We've covered a great deal today in a very short amount of time. And what I want to look at choice in today, actually, who's enjoyed this so far? How many of you guys have gotten something that you can actually take away, a little nugget or a big nugget, and post it in the group so I can get kind of where you guys are? Okay, we've covered a lot. Now, what to do and what not to do, or now that you know what to do, my slides are a little funky here, and what not to do, We're going to look at choice. Okay, and what would it be like if you could implement everything you just learned? Okay, we got a lot of very helpfuls, lots of gold today. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. This has been great, resonating with me big time. Okay, awesome. So implement everything you just learned and create your crazy possible life. What if you could? Right? What if you could actually implement all that stuff? Would you? And would you like to know how? Would ya? Would ya? Would ya? Now this is where your choice comes in. Okay? The space to become congruent and do it over and over and over and over again for anything. Because here's the thing, is you will get stuck along the way. Got a lot of yeses over there. Hell yeah. You will get stuck along the way. Why? Because we're changing everything. We're being totally different than we ever have been being. And when you make those choices and when you make those big choices, it gets uncomfortable. It's new. The house of cards that you've built that you're no longer resonant with and you're choosing beyond starts to crumble. The cards fall. Then what? Okay? So here's what I've got for you. And we're going to talk about choice when I talk about the next I'm going to show you examples of it as we go through this. But what I have actually created for you guys is a 10-week course, The Art of Living Crazy Possible, where it actually, we go through all of these elements in depth, 90-minute modules. There's play sheets, there's places where you can fill in the blanks, really work through all of this stuff so you can actually clear out those energetic blocks, set your targets, your priorities, acknowledge the energy, and actually go into your life and start going, okay, let's look at this, let's look at this, let's look at this. And choice is your trump card. So are you using it to create or are you using it to negate? So we're going to talk about how to use your awareness to actually choose. So how many of you guys have had a light possibility or something calling to you, but you waited and you didn't choose it? You maybe said, oh, I'll think about it later. I'll get back to you. Maybe I'll do that. But you knew somehow it was going to contribute to you. And here's the thing. What happens when you wait? Time happens. Excuses, reasons why not, other people's points of view. Oh gosh, those other people's points of view. Oh, you shouldn't do that, man. All that stuff like you shouldn't spend the money, you shouldn't do this, even that, you shouldn't go big, you're gonna get hurt, you're not gonna be safe. All that stuff, right? Excuses, why nots, and other people's points of view get in the way when there's time. Okay? And when we go, oh, I really want to have that, but then we wait, more and more time becomes a barrier to actually choosing what is already light and expansive for you. What you want to get to do is choose in the moment. So it's light, choose it. It's light, choose it. It's light, say yes to it. For example, I was, I was talking to 4 different pet importers for Mojo, and they sent me over quotes, and the quotes were like, oh, giving me a headache because there was all these details and all these things that have to be done, and it was just overwhelming. So I was kind of just waiting, not choosing and waiting and not choosing and waiting and not choosing because I was like gonna someday find the time to go through it all. And then literally a couple days ago, I get a phone call, and it's this guy, Scotty, and he's like, hey, I'm from this pet exporter. I'd like to see if you got our quote. And so I was like, let's talk to this guy. So I started talking to him, and everything became clear, and it was so light, and I really got that Mojo, was going to be taken care of. And I actually asked a question. I was like, hey, is this going to be the take care of Mojo, be easy, and do what he's saying he's going to do? And I got a light for all of them. So I just said yes. I sent over the money. And then it's all on its way. So I don't have that big energy of, oh, I got to do that tomorrow in my way anymore. That's out of the way. And all of a sudden, these other choices started showing up. And it was like, bing, bang, boom, bang. So your choice, when you can choose in the moment that it's light, is when you open up the doorways to new possibilities. Okay? So let's look at something right now. That's my Aussie. I'm practicing. If you had 3 months support almost 3 months, contribution, in contribution to create your crazy possible life, to get clear and congruent, what would your life be like? If you actually had the support, if you had a group of people around you to support you, if you had an accountability, if you were led through all of these different things, you didn't have to do them on your own. Would you have more crazy possible in your life or less? Would you have more of you or would you have less? Would you have more access to creating your way? Right? So just tune into your awareness right now. But ask those questions. What are you aware of? Is there a light and expansiveness when you ask yourself? Okay? This is what conscious choice is. If it's light and expansive and you're like, oh my God, yes, that is the choice to make. But this happens in all of your life. But we ignore it. And that's how we get into the inner conflict, is because we don't just choose. And it was so cool. I was watching a video the other day, and this person was saying there's a 5-second rule. They said, I learned that if I don't choose it in 5 seconds, all those excuses, points of view, and time that gets in the way. And then I don't choose it. And she was talking specifically about working out in the morning. It's like, I got 5 seconds. They go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And she chooses it. And she's like, I get so much more done. I create so much more. Magic happens in my life because I'm not spending time waiting. I'm not spending time procrastinating. And I'm not in bed making myself wrong because I didn't go work out. And I was like, that's brilliant. So the 5-second rule, if something's light, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, choose. I have implemented that and it works really well. Actually, that's what I've been doing. And it's been like ching, 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 ching. So if there's a lightness in your world, then you're invited to come and play. You're invited to work with me and everybody else who chooses this possibility too. So let's go through it now and see if it's a match. And don't worry, the price point I've made super affordable for this kind of program, so anybody can hop right in, okay? So I'm asking for brilliant unicorns that are ready to create their crazy possible lives to come and play in new realities, okay? I'm not gonna NLP you and try to force you to convince you to come in. I really want you to look at the lightness of the possibility and choose from that space. And if it's not light for you, awesome. I hope you got something out of today. I hope we get to play in the future. But if it is light for you, then that's where there's a contribution that this will be for you. And we don't know how it's going to turn out in the end. But I'm excited to find out. Okay? So why am I asking for these brilliant unicorns? Because I believe that we are the ones that are here to create beyond this current reality. Not fix this world, not save the world, but create beyond. And that is actually my mission, if I have a mission, or the space that I ask questions from, is who is out there that knows that another reality is possible? And who wants to actually create that? I want to empower you, okay? And are you aware of this too? Are you aware that you are here to create new realities, new possibilities, and crazy possible? Okay? Whatever that is that you're aware of, that's what we're talking about. This is what crazy possible is all about. Okay? So let me show you how we can work together. Okay, you remember this little crazy possible roadmap? All right, if you look over on the symptoms side, we have this area right here. So life is good, feeling good, and you know more is possible, and you're hopeful with a glimmer of possibility, and you have the awareness that things can change, and you're seeking out tools. If you are in one of those two areas, the Art of Living Crazy Possible online global class is created specifically for you. If you happen to be in that lower orange segment, you're frustrated, you lack possibility, and you're ready to choose to pop up in that next space, like right now, then you can be in that space. It's just a choice, okay? And if you're at the top place, the freedom from this reality already, then you would actually be more of a fit for the Christian Academy. But the Art of Living Crazy Possible is freaking amazing to actually have you step up into having more of that space of contribution that you be in the world, so that you're free from this reality, right? Who wants to be free from this reality? Who wants to not ever get hooked up with judgment again? Who wants to be able to create everything that you're aware of? Who wants to be unstoppable, right? Who wants to live crazy possible? Like crazy possible is so cool because it's been crazy, and a lot of times it's crazy for other people, but it's possible. And it's so much freaking fun. All right, we got a lot of yeses in the group. Okay, so what we do is we take you from the conclusion universe and boost you up into being the question, take you from crawling to like have your life, all the way up to soaring, where you're literally that bird in the sky going, ooh, there is no obstacle. We can walk past it. We can jump over it. We can fly beyond it. We can soar past it. We can go around again. That's where you're really soaring. And then you go from over here, these keys to creation, where you're acknowledging, and then you're actually changing stuff, and then you're expanding, and then you're actually being the contribution you truly be. And that's really my target for working with people, is you actually step into being the you that's the contribution that you came to be, because anything less is less. Okay, so now this is the top edge that we're looking at. This is our target, right? And it takes time to actually get there because you have to change stuff. There's things in your life you gotta look at, and you gotta rearrange, and you gotta change. So it takes a little bit of time, but that is actually what's possible for each and every single one of you. Got a lot of hell yeahs in the group, me. Awesome. So who wants to be there at the top? And it's not top over anyone else. It's really the top because it's the lightest. It's where you have the freedom. It's where money doesn't control you anymore. You ask and you receive everything. That's what's possible in this layer. Okay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the Art of Living Crazy Possible 10-week creation course. All right. So basically, it's power-packed. You get 9 modules. It's 10 weeks long. Each of the web classes are 90 minutes. You get a PDF creation sheet for each one of the modules that you get to work your stuff through, which is super helpful. People go through that and they look at it later and they're like, wow, stuff has changed so much. It actually gives you the space to go, wow, this is how it was and this is how it is now. That's completely different. So you start acknowledging yourself in a totally different way too. You get the audio recordings, you get the video recordings, you get energy clearing loops for every module, you get PDFs of the clearing loops, and it goes from January to March. Okay, so we get to start out 2018 like we're out creating. So here's some of the modules, right? You go from Beyond Belonging, a whole module, a whole deep dive into actually clearing the energies. How did you get stuck in belonging? When was that first time that you decided it? That you didn't fit in, that you needed to belong? How did you build your life on top of belonging? We actually unhook all of that stuff, okay? We clear the past out of your future. I actually identify in this particular module a lot of the energetic hooks that has you keep going back to your past and some of the reasons why we keep bringing it into our future. So we do all that. What if your past could actually stay in your past? We're going to eliminate internal conflict. Well, there's a whole worksheet on what did you say and what do you choose. So we get to look at every area of your life and look at the internal conflict, change it so that we can step into creating what you know is possible. Okay, so we have a whole module on your energetic priorities. And this one's really cool because I take you through this little process so you can actually see for yourself what are the energies of your life that you would like to have so you can get clear. If you don't have your energetic priorities and you can't list them off like this, you're not clear. Okay? It's just not clear yet. What would it be like to get clear? Who wants to be clear on your energetic priorities? The energy, you start using that juicy orgasmic energy to your advantage. So many of us have had some sort of abuse or told we're too much. So we've negated that life force energy from our lives and we don't know how to use it to create. So this module is all about actually learning to choose based on your energetic priorities and identifying what those are for you. Targets, just like what we talked about before, setting up those targets in a way that actually motivates you, that inspires you, that's actually light and expansive to choose. Okay, and then you identify targets for yourself. We do a whole segment on ask and receive, and actually ask and receive is threaded throughout the whole thing because we start using it right away. And so many of you guys I know have already been using ask and receive. So this will just expand that. But one of the things we look at in ask and receive section is where you've been using it against yourself. So where you've been asking for conclusions, right? And then proving that you're wrong because it doesn't show up versus asking for the possibilities and really asking for the awarenesses. So what if you could receive everything you ask for? How spoiled in this universe would you be? All right, conscious action. We actually go into really looking at what actions can you take now, what needs to change in your own awareness. Carla says, I'll have that. Yeah, what needs to change? Coming out of the unconscious programming and decision making. So, and that's a lot of what we look at in some of the other courses is where are you still functioning from decision making and pros and cons list, which negates, and logic, or not logic, but linear thinking, which negates all possibility, which negates your priorities, which negates the energy. So we actually show you how to do that in the conscious action section. And then the choice and creation. It's really the 4 essentials to choosing to live a greater life. Oh, I forgot to edit this here. Commitment, dedication, gratitude, and, fill in the blank, that you're misinterpreting or avoiding. So many people think commitment is like a trap or a prison, and it's not. And I show you how that is there. And we actually look at you developing what that is for you. Okay, so the Art of Living Crazy Possible 10-week course comes with all of that. And to make everything else better, I've added some extras. Who likes bonuses? I like bonuses. I love bonuses. All right, I'll get to the next slide here. All right, there we go. So we have an Empower Yourself video session, which actually is available right now if you wanted to register. And this, we go through sort of like a bunch of the basics, right, that are really helpful so you can empower yourself. Having money for everything. This is an immediate download that you get. And it's about flipping this reality. So you go from, I don't have the money, to how can I create it? Just like I did with Hot Tub. Okay, we do a life evaluation. We're actually doing this live. This is going to be live on January 7th. A whole life evaluation. So we're actually going to look at everything. And this is the stuff that we don't normally want to look at. We don't want to look at this stuff. This stuff is the stuff we want to keep avoiding. We want to look at it so we can go, oh, that's what's there. So we're going to do that live on the 7th. We have 4, actually it says 3 here. I just added another one. 4 live facilitation quickies where you can ask your questions. You can get clear on your priorities. You can get clear on your targets. You can clear on that lifelong issue that's always been stopping you. What is that? How do you go beyond it? And you have 4 opportunities to get on and actually ask me a question. Live facilitation. Okay, and right now, if you go look at my website, my sessions are about $500 an hour-ish, something like that, or a half hour, $500 for a half hour. So this, you're going to see in a minute how amazing of a deal this is. Okay, we're going to give you daily questions. These will be up in the membership in a couple of days. We're almost done with them. You'll have a daily activation that you can listen to over and over and over to sort of expand your energy. We have success tips. And this is where like all the things you can do to set up your environment and your life to actually succeed. So much of the times, yeah, it's everything plus the steak knives. Unfortunately, I don't have knives for you today, but if I did, I would give them to you and they would probably be aqua. So the success tips are like things to set yourself up to succeed. So how do you remember your priorities? How do you remember what your targets are? Because we are so forgetful. There's so much going on and we're aware of so much. These success tips really help. Okay, we get Crazy Possible notifications. They'll be done on Sunday. And these are ones you can actually put on your phone. So they're little alarms that you can set up as notifications on your phone so you can remember certain things. So you're being activated, right? You're like an energy, space, and consciousness question, or who does this belong to, or what can I choose now, or like listing off your priorities. Like it's so cool, like when you actually empower yourself, what's possible. Having the magic of finances. This is a whole class I've added on to the 9 modules, and this is going through, we actually go through a worksheet with your financials, and we look at the magic with numbers, and we actually do this at the end. We have a Facebook group, of course. There we go. The Facebook group, and that's for contribution. You can ask a question at any time. You're working through something, you miss a class, and you're going through it later, and you have a question. We can contribute to each other. We can ask questions. It's promotion free, so you're not going to see everybody else, promoting their stuff. It's really the space of contribution. And I just added this today because it sounded really fun. I have future possibility sessions that are available. They're one-on-one sessions with me. They're 30 minutes. And we actually, they're at the end of the course, and when you get your priorities and your targets done and the energies, then we get on the phone and we actually do this really cool future possibility session that actually starts to activate more of what's possible in an energetic way, that we do a little SOP in it, and it's some other stuff I don't even have words for, but people get off the phone and they go, wow, that was freaking amazing. And we really look at what's next. What is next? And after those 3 months, how do you set yourself up next, right? Because that's what you have to look at. You always have to be creating for your future, okay? So the value of those is 500 as well. So dear 2018, I'm here to outcreate. So who is here to outcreate with me, right? Give me a big yes. Cheryl says, oh, every time I listen to you, I have an amazing day. Thank you so much. Awesome. Can imagine every week with me. So the space of contribution, with that space of contribution, what can you create in 2018? Dun, dun, dun. I wonder, just tap into the space of that, the energy of that. If you had 3 months to play with us, what could that actually create for you? I know it always creates for me. I always outcreate myself during this course. Every time I do this course, I get so much out of this for myself. So for those of you who are wondering about the price, here it is. Here's the total value of all of it. You can see that the 9 module course is around, I totaled it up to be about almost a $300 each class. They're so power packed, you guys. It's crazy. So 9 of those is about $2,600. You have 4 live Q&As, which is about $1,100 worth. Everything you can see on there, the life evaluation class, the having money for everything, the daily questions. The Facebook group is really priceless because so many people have gone into these Facebook groups and they ask one question that changes their whole freaking life. That one question, and that somebody responds to, whether it's me or someone else, changes everything. It's priceless. I put a monetary value on it just to add it in because I don't want to exclude it. Around 500, and then the future possibility session with me, if you're one of the first 11, is 500. So the total is 5687. Now, I don't tell you this to be like, oh, so now it's only 997. I tell you this to acknowledge the amount of value that you're gonna get if you want to choose this. Okay. Now, it's not light to charge 5687. What's actually light is 997. You can see on here. Or 3 payments of 347. Okay, so I told you it was going to be reasonable. And the reason I do that is because I actually asked the class what it wants to be, and it was like 997. And I was like, great, okay, cool. What's possible here? But I don't want to discount everything that you're going to get, right? By just throwing a number on it. Okay, so I wanted to add that up for you guys so you could actually see it for yourself. Okay, now. You go to crazypossibleliving.com/ALCP-2018. Please put the dash on there. -2018. So Brandy, if you could put that on there, that would be amazing. crazypossibleliving.com/ALCP-2018. I see Joan Elaine is in. Awesome. Megan Ryan's in. Where do I sign up? Yeah. So we start the live bonus on Sunday, January 7th. And you'll see all the times and everything once you get registered. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you can't come onto the classes live. You'll get all the recordings and everything, and they work just as well. If you can be on live, it's awesome. But if you can't, I don't let that prevent you from being on if it's the middle of the night or you have a conflict. Most of the classes are going to be on Sunday nights. What I've done is put up the first 3 are in a row so we can go bam and really have an awesome start. on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And then we get going. Okay, so if you're done hoping and wishing things will just manifest, Cory Michelle will pop you out of this destructive fantasy and help ignite your true creative capacities. That's what Kelly early said about me. She's a global citizen. She lives a whole bunch of places. All I have to say is to whomever reading this, if you're reading this, ask yourself, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? If you get a light or expanded feeling, choose it. You're in for your new life, baby. That's Frank Verdella, another global citizen, traveling the world. When I began Art of Living Crazy Possible, I had a pretty good life. Money was good. My marriage was good. But good was getting boring. And now it's been 7 months, and wow, I'm having so much fun. My life just went from boring, good, to fun and exciting. How does it get better than that? And Cory, I have to share with you, I didn't think this course would create any changes for me because nothing ever did. When she told me this, I was like, oh, that's so fun. She said, I was really looking to blame you for not delivering, but happily, I'm reporting I was totally wrong. As it turns out, I'm a magical creator, and I work and I can create, and this is the biggest gift anyone could have ever given me. Thank you so much. So much gratitude for Art of Living Crazy Possible. How does it get better than that? Brandy's got the link in there, crazypossibleliving.com/ALCP-2018. And then Simone and Jeffers in Australia says, I said yes to me when I got the awareness that this course is what I was asking for. No more waiting, which was my old pattern. I just said yes. And she's so cool. She's changed everything. She got something so big of where she was creating a conflict for herself. And she stopped and she was like, she started just freaking creating. So let's get creating. You can go and sign up. The first 11 people get that session with me, which is, there's so much fun for me to do. So I wonder who I'll be doing it with. And I'm going to pop over here to the chat in a minute here, but it's time to say goodbye. If you want to outcreate your 2018, it is time to say goodbye to the gap, time to say goodbye to not knowing how you'll create, time to say goodbye to confusion, frustration, struggle, and not having a life you came to live, and say hello to your new reality. Why? Because it's freaking possible. That's literally the only reason you need, is because it's possible. At least that's how I function now. So let's get started. You can ask those questions again if you want. If I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? If I choose this, will it contribute to a future greater than I have now? And these are all creation questions. If I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? I always ask that question too, just to give myself a baseline. Okay? So let me look at the, and by the way, check this out. You're gonna love me. So if you go check out that page, artoflivingcrazypossible.com/ALCP-2018, you'll see on there, if you scroll down, I've got some more information. So if you're an information person and you need more information, there's video testimonials on there that are amazing. You can read through it. But if you're not a yes here and you've watched this whole thing, then it might not be a yes for you. But if you need more information, it's there. I've added on there global pricing. And so in Access Consciousness, we do this really cool thing to sort of accommodate different pricing around the world. So we have 2 different pricing structure, 3. For the United States, Europe, Japan, they're all 100, we call them 100% countries. It's the 100%, $9.97 US dollars. This is all in US dollars. If you live in Australia, New Zealand, you get what's called 80% pricing, which is 80% of $9.97 in US dollars. Okay, so I charge only in US dollars. And it will show up on the cart. You just have to enter the code. And if you are in like India or somewhere that has what Access would call another pricing, it's 70% pricing with us. So you'll get 70% of the $9.97 in US dollars. Now, we do check to make sure that you're where you are, right? So we ask you to honor that, because it'd be really uncomfortable if we came back to you and said, hey, you live in America and you use the India pricing, because that's not really what it's for. It's not a discount. It's just a pricing adjustment to make it easier for everyone around the world to choose this possibility. And this is what we're using right now. So hopefully it'll contribute to some of you. If you choose the 3 payments, are you still eligible for the 11, yes, one of the sessions with me? Yes, you are. We don't do the sessions with me until the very end because you need all the stuff. So you'll likely be already on your 3rd payment by then anyway. So you'll likely be paid in full. Now, if you get one of the sessions and you do the payment plan and you don't pay the last payment, then we need to wait for your session until you do that payment. Okay, that just honors me as well because I'm giving you 1,000% and I'm asking you to step up as well and give 1,000% to me back because that's where it's really fun. When we're both giving 1,000%, freaking magic, man. We can literally create magic, right? Okay, so let me see. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for this webinar. Okay, so real time for Australia. Since I'm in Australia, they'll be mostly at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern time, which I'm in the Brisbane time zone. So that's where we'll be. And they're mostly on Mondays, except for the first 3 are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday Australian time. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 p.m. US Pacific time. Okay. And you can see the time converter and everything on that next page. Okay. Jennifer says the future possibilities sessions are so awesome. Okay, I'm in. Awesome. So cool, real unicorn stuff. It is, it's so much freaking fun to create like this, you guys. It's so much easier. We ditch the wrongness, we ditch the stories. And it's like, are you sick of your stories? I'm sick of people's stories. I'm sick of my own story. And what else is possible there, right? Okay, so if you're peeking in and you're like, I don't know. If you're like an I don't know, you gotta acknowledge what the energy really is for you. And if you do that and you choose, and I'm not trying to convince you to choose, I'm actually just acknowledging a way for you to choose that's really powerful for you, then you'll literally go, pow, and there, I promise you, there will be new choices available for you after you make that right choice. Now, you can, like I said, you can apply it to everything, not just this. This is just a really great example. Okay, you go beyond confusion and into the space of clarity. What would that be like? And would you be willing to have this much joy? Like having so much fun in your life that everybody thinks you're wildly crazy. Anyway, so I want to thank you guys for joining me. I will stay on the line for a couple minutes here and see if you guys have any other questions. I'm happy to answer them. And we will, yeah, and then we'll just end. So if you don't have any questions, go ahead and get registered. We will send you a follow-up email too that has the link on there. And you can register there if you want to. Or you can register right now if you want to. But if you're not registering, I hope I get to play with you in some other capacity. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So do you guys have any questions? Michelle says 11 a.m. is perfect. When do we find out if we're one of the first 11? I will have to check that when I get off of here. I can't see it right here. But you'll get a special email as well if you're one of the first 11. Megan says, oh, I'm so excited to play with you, Megan. Awesome. All right, Linda says, thank you. Thanks, Janine. Thanks, Karen. All right, great. Now, one of the questions that often comes up is like, you know, like we said before, is will this work for me? The crazy thing is you work. I don't care how messed up you've thought you are. I don't care how much crap you've created in your life. You work. And when you get congruent, you create magic. And when that moment you start to become congruent and you start to say yes to what you know is possible, and you start embodying your priorities, literally the universe starts rearranging for you. The universe starts going, and then all of a sudden these things show up. And it's almost like the universe is waiting for you to be congruent and choose it. Because so much of what is about to show up is ready and waiting for you already. You just haven't been choosing congruent. You've been in conflict or choosing against yourself, right? So cool when things just start showing up. Okay, so Karen says, when I choose the subscription button, nothing shows up. Brandy, can you check on that, please? No fields for the address. Okay, cool. She'll fix that. If you're on a tablet or a phone, I would go out, like go back and then try to go back in and see if that works. If it doesn't, we will look and see what that is. If you keep having an issue, send us an email at support@meetcorymichelle.com, support@meetcorymichelle.com, and then we'll make sure that you get the proper, it gets fixed or whatever. All right, thanks, Victoria. All right, you guys, I don't see any other questions. Let me see if I can think of anything else that people typically ask. People ask if they need to be on live. You don't need to be on live. People have done the whole course long after the course was done, and they got so much out of it. Oh, and then the live facilitations are so amazing because sometimes you don't know what question to ask, and then other people ask exactly what you have no idea to ask that unlocks the thing for you. It's so freaking cool how we all get to actually contribute to each other. Oh, Catherine says, okay, on MacBook it shows up when I see painful. Okay, so there might be an error on our side there. All right, great. So those are really awesome. A lot of people will listen to them. Yeah, so subscription button's not working. So we'll get that fixed, you guys, for you. Sorry about the inconvenience there. And then how does it get better than that? So I'm so excited. This is literally one of my favorite, actually my favorite class to facilitate because we get so much change and people literally go, oh my God, you see things that were right in front of you the whole time that you couldn't see before. And you go, oh my God, like that, oh my, that's what I've been doing myself. I hear that so many times, it's ridiculous. So that's where it's like the invisible blocks, we can actually clear those away now. All right, you guys, big hugs. We will get it fixed. And what else is possible? I adore you. What is possible that is now possible? It's never been possible before. And what can you create in 2018 that'll make your life a life worth living? A crazy possible life worth living. I can't wait to play, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.